So right around this time of year is when all of those healthy habits, all of those morning routines, all the things that we created to help us reach our goals this year start to get really difficult. In fact, drop me a comment if you find that it's true that it takes you a lot more than 21 or 30 or 40 days to create a habit. I want to talk about why that's the case, why we can't seem to maintain these things that we created, especially when we're so excited for them, and then the very, very simple solution to solve that problem. Before we jump into this, it has been a little quiet here, so either drop me a comment to say hello, let me know that you're watching this, or especially drop me a comment if this has been you. If you have set up your routines, your morning routine, your healthy habits, whatever it was to help you to create success in your life, the things that you knew were going to help you to succeed, and whether it was a couple days or a couple weeks later, everything seemed to fall apart, despite the fact that you were excited, despite the fact that these were things that you really needed and are ready for, despite the fact that you thought you'd planned it all out and you were sure that this time you were going to be able to maintain these things, and yet it all still fell apart. There's a super simple reason that this happens, and it's happening mainly because we plan things based around our ideals and not the reality of what's actually happening in our life. In fact, think over the last 90 days or so. Over the last 90 days, how many of your days matched your ideal? Like what you had planned, what you had hoped for. How many days did it actually go according to that plan? And how many days did it not? Most of us will have maybe 1 or 2 ideal days a week, but most of us will not have that on a regular basis. We plan for our ideal day because we don't think that we can plan for the unforeseeable circumstances that come up. But when you really think about it, you can. You may not know exactly what's going to happen, but just based on past behavior, past experiences, you can have a pretty good idea of most things that are going to happen. For instance, you might not think that you're going to have a health emergency in the next 2 months, but we can know over the span of our lifetime, we're going to have times when we're sick. We're going to have times when there is an emergency. We're going to have times when we just don't feel well. It's sort of like if you're habitually late because of traffic. You can know that traffic is going to be pretty likely on certain days or certain times of day, and therefore you can plan for it. The same is what's happening when we're talking about our healthy routines or our healthy habits. We need to actually understand that there are going to be times when the ideal is not possible. In fact, most times the ideal is not going to be possible. That doesn't mean to throw the plans out altogether. It simply means to adjust for those non-ideal situations. This is talked a lot about in the book Triggers by Marshall Goldsmith, and I highly recommend this book to really understand why it's so hard for us to make the changes that we want to make or do the healthy things that we want to do. He talks about the planner and the doer, and what I really took away from this is my planner has all of these ideals and my doer has to face the reality of actually making things happen, and the two of those don't often communicate with each other. The planner looks at the ideal situation, the ideal environment, the ideal mood, the ideal energy level, the ideal circumstances, and makes the plan according to that, saying, because I want it, that's enough to make me actually maintain it. Whereas the doer has to face those circumstances with maybe not a lot of motivation, not a lot of energy, having a really bad day, feeling terrible, and then has to try to execute a plan that's just not realistic. I've been through this myself just in the past few months. Last year, I hit a really good stride of getting up at 4:30 in the morning, spending 3 to 4 hours on self-care, on personal, physical, emotional, mental well-being, and feeling really good, gaining the momentum from those circumstances. But when other circumstances changed, when I had a health flare-up, when we were moving, when we were doing other things, it got much more difficult to maintain that same routine. Being the classic overachiever, high achiever, it's very easy for me to beat myself up when that happens, thinking that I should be able to maintain the thing that I set out to do without realizing that my doer is different than my planner, and my planner didn't foresee all the different things that were coming up. Thankfully, right around this time, I was reading that Triggers book, and it really drove home the importance of planning differently. And so my solution to you is, if you're struggling with this. If you have an ideal morning routine, ideal habits that you know will help you reach the success you want to reach, I want you to actually recreate your plan according to what your doer can do. Now, here's how I did this. When we were moving, I had a slightly different morning routine that I planned out in advance. When we were actually on the road driving the U-Haul, I again had a slightly different morning routine or habits that I wanted to maintain. As we were remodeling the house, as we were going through the holidays, I had the opportunity, it created the opportunity to sit down and replan, reorganize the habits that were going to see me through that season of life. Whether that season of life was 4 or 5 days on the road or 4 or 5 months in the transition of moving or whatever it might be, I got to create the plan that was going to actually help me succeed in that time frame. It's all about making plans the doer can or will want to do depending on that day. So for instance, if I have a huge health flare-up and I am inflamed, I'm hurting, I have low energy, that's gonna obviously change my motivation and my mindset at the same time. Because I know that that can happen at any time, I can plan for that. When I'm having a bad day, what does my morning routine get to look like then? When I'm having a bad day, which habits do I give myself grace on? Which ones do I tweak or change and how? Which ones do I make sure that I maintain? What are my minimum viable habits that I want to maintain no matter what's going on in my life, in my body, or in my business? We need different plans for the different days we're going to have in our life. And I want you to consider things like environmental cues or triggers, ease, enjoyment. If you know that once a month you get in a really bad mood and all of your habits go out the window, what habits would you want to do during that time? Plan, be proactive, and create the routines and the habits for success during that season. Understanding how your planner and your doer do and do not communicate together is huge. But one other thing that Marshall Goldsmith talks about in the Triggers book is having a coach. Now, this doesn't have to be a coach like I coach people. It could be a mentor, it could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be anyone that you turn to for accountability that's going to be able to help you not just stay on track, but know how to help you stay on track, know how to help you get back on track when you're falling off. Because the truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter how motivated you are when you create this plan, life is going to happen. Emotions change, and motivation is just an emotion. Naturally, it's going to come and go. And if you don't put in the fail-safes ahead of time to help you through those times, the chances that you're going to have success are naturally going to be lower. This doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It means there's something wrong with your plan. So no matter what you're working on in 2020, no matter what those healthy habits or those routines are that are going to lead you to success, I really want to encourage you to sit down and create multiple versions of them. A level 10 version, a level 7 version, a level 3 version, depending on what you know based on maybe what you've experienced in the past year, what you know is likely to come up for you again. You can be successful at this without being perfect at it. It doesn't have to be perfect for it to be powerful. By the way, if you're brand new here, my name is Tara Wagner. I'm a belief breakthrough coach helping women to crush their goals, not their soul. If that sounds like your jam, be sure to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, drop me a comment to say hello, and then check out the free trainings I have for you linked in the description. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.